Welcome home. It's Irish Family History with curious news and notes, celebrating our fourth year of this podcast at the Irish Roots Cafe, where every day's a holiday and there's always room for one more. One of 6 broadcast series from the head school at irishroots.com. I'm Mike OLaughlin, your host, publisher of rare Irish books and information on every county in Ireland since 1978. Be sure to read our blog, complete with links to click on from this podcast, and search our master index and books for free. Molly, wet the tea, Katie, bar the door, Sweeney, clear that floor, and bring out the Irish dancers. It's time we get this show on the road. Oh, well, it's show number 181, and this is actually our 6th year, and we've got, 7 different podcast series going on now. Be sure to check them all out. But among today's topics here at the Irish Roots Cafe, family name of the day is Connery, Irish Book of the Month, the history of the Clanna Rory, searching for the lost families of the Clanna Rory, and curious news, the Chinese Irish in Galway. The video of the month is an Irish pub in Australia, and a curious note, Sheehan finds a rare egg. And number 7, the 1 minute podcast, it comes from Irish Families number 105, the first part of the Clanna Rory. We're going to add a little bit to it. Whenever we duplicate a book, we're going to add a little bit to it each time, and that way there's something new every time you turn in, and that's the way we want it to be. And now we're coming up to our next little section here. Oh, well, what's happening this week at the Irish Roots Cafe? Well, number 1, the Irish class was snowed out of here, out of the cafe here last week, and that gives me another chance to start the studying, doesn't it now? That's pretty good. And I've been looking at the role of the letter H in Irish and in other alphabets, and it's really sort of interesting once you look at it. I got a little book here and explains the history of each letter. And, that H was often used to eliminate letters that were not found in other alphabets. So if someone came in and conquered your country, so to speak, they might put that H after a letter that sounded or a sound that sounded sort of strange to them to sort of denote and to either lighten that letter up or make it a little more breathy. They just use it to change the other alphabet into something they understood better. And, hey, how about adding vowels to words when you say the word without the vowel being there? Sort of like on license plates, when they have these code words. Well, and hey, how about the word film? And how come you might meet some folks from Ireland and they'll say, oh, let's go see a film. A film. Well, they just add that I between 2 consonants there, and there's some specific rules for that. But there's some very interesting things when it comes to language, and I hope you get a chance to explore that too. Hey, and we just posted a short Australian video and said, hey, wouldn't it be nice to go? And here we got Walt and Roxanne and Karen and everybody saying, yeah, that sounds good. They got inspired from a 60-second video. We put it on Facebook, and I've got it here on the podcast today too. You can hear the link. Oh, here's the 1 minute podcast, and this is on the Clanna Rory book. This will be part 1 of the Clanna Rory, and I'll follow up in a little bit with part 2. But here's the first one we made back 6 months or so ago. And here we talk about the history of the many families of the Clanna Rory, or the Rudricians, and it's compiled from the ancient records in the libraries of Trinity College, the Royal Irish Academy, and many others by Richard F. Cronelli. And, there's too many names for me to list them all. I'll put them all on the blog, 30 or 40 of them. They're the major families that were researched for this work, and it comes from, back in 1864 or so in Ireland. And it's names like McGuinness and Cronelli and Dugan and Moran and Lennon and Cashin and Lynch, O'Connor Carey and O'Connor Cork, OLaughlin Burren, O'Kiley McShanley, O'Farrell, O'Roddy, McCormick, McDorchy, Rogers, Drennan, O'Quinn and Mulvey. Those are just a few examples. So it's a pretty good book. Now, compared to Milesian Families, that other book I reprinted from the 1800s, this book has fewer families in it, but it has more information per family as a rule. So that'd give you a little hint there. And I think you'll like it if you like those old works, some of the very first general genealogy works printed in Ireland, way back when the country was just able to get back up from being knocked down for so long, and they had a big explosion of Celtic pride. Well, let me see. What do we got coming up? Oh, the cheapest pint in Ireland is found where? Perhaps you have some friends just coming back from Ireland that might know because they toured the island trying just to find out. And if they came back broke, well, they didn't find it. Hey, and what about Angel Cabs I've been hearing about in Dublin? Well, that's an end to our extract from that old podcast there. And hey, that name Cronelli can also be said Cronelly. You might even hear it more often as Cronelly, huh? I think so. Now we're coming up and we're going to take a look at that book again and give you a little bit of added material. Oh, yeah, the Clanna Rory. They all descended from Roderick, the monarch of Ireland, according to many people. And it's a list of many families that descended from that man, from that line. And, of course, we mentioned it's like the Duanes or the Dwinnans and so many other clans that you can't keep track of them all. I got them all listed on the blog. And, of course, they're all in that book. And everybody turns to those books and wants to go to their family name, and there's really several paragraphs on every family name, and that was written about 150 years ago. It's interesting to see what people knew at that time before all this genealogical research got so serious and computerized. But you take a quick look here. Here's something I never told you before. In the back of that book, it says that the following Rudrician families, of whom very little is known at the present day. These are the families they really didn't know much about way back then, and or at least the author didn't. And he lists O'Mulvey, who was on the east side of the Shannon River, and Ney or Neville, and Nahilly, and Melody, and Keogh, and Obeses, and some people say that's Beck today, Obeses of Cork, with all of these have brief notes on locations, I think. And here's Macmalosis, on the borders of Westmeath and Longford. Boy, I'll have to check the spelling on that. And O'Dugan and Cosgrave, who were chiefs in County Cork. And they got a brief pedigree given on that family, even though they didn't have much information on them otherwise. And, of course, the McRorys and the Rogers, given to be the same family, also have a brief note. And they're spelling Rogers Rodgers. And, of course, you could spell it Rogers. It just depends on what year you're at and where you're at, I guess. And that's sort of some of the interesting things you can see when you're trying to put a picture together and trying to find out who found out what about your family when. You know, you can't believe everything that's printed. And, hey, even some of the stuff I print, turns out there's a conflict there in some historical records, and I have to end up changing it. And that's just, it doesn't happen very often, but it sure does every now and then. And what you got to do is be quick on your feet and get ready to change. You know what I mean? Hey, remember, we've got a podcast that's like a radio show on the net that I'm broadcasting right now. We've got a blog reader that reads the blog, a little computer voice, and we've got the blog itself. Be sure to check it all out and enjoy it. Now we're coming up to the very next section here, and that's the Magnificent Seven. Hey, and coming up in a little bit towards the end here, we talk about where exactly is the Year of the Rabbit being celebrated in Ireland, and it's actually going to be a 3-day festival. And does that festival also allow you to celebrate your Irish ancestors if one of them happened to be named Rabbit, like one of mine was? We'll hear more about that. Now, the Magnificent Seven. It's time to raise our eyes skyward and give thanks. Number 1, welcome new member Jackie McLaughlin of Hyde Park, New York. Welcome new member Richard Feeney Pease Grant of Chester, Vermont. Research in Lettermore Island and Gorumna. And number 3, Paul Murray of Hanahan, South Carolina. Your Irish families and surnames of Ireland books have shipped. Number 4, Keith Egan of Osage, Iowa. Your Irish families and county kings and queens genealogy books have shipped. Number 5, David Fleming of Toronto, Canada. Your county Tyrone genealogy and family history notes book has shipped. Number 6, Patricia Dagg of Temple Shannon, Key Enniscorthy, County Wexford, Ireland. Your Wexford genealogy and family history notes have shipped. And number 7, Terry Blake of Hartwell, Georgia. Your county Antrim and Belfast genealogy book has shipped. And hey, that reminds me to say thank you, a big thank you to every single member. I need your memberships to keep me going, and every single person that's bought one of my books. We do it all here. We write it and publish it and do whatever we can. It all comes from us. We're the publishers, so get it direct and keep us going. We want to add a lot more things to that webpage this year. Keep us in mind for that. I'm going to do that very thing. Well, let's take a name that a lot of these surname books don't cover too well. We're going to take the name of Connery. That'd be like in Sean Connery, Bond, James Bond. But we're doing it in honor of today's new member, or former new member, Eleanor Kendall. And related spelling of the name, gosh, there's all kinds of names that can get confused there. Connery with an E. Connery, the old spelling, Conaire. Some people link it to that. Conroy and Conry, even Mull Conry and Convery are all sort of tied up there in different ways, so keep that in the back of your mind. Variant spelling groups number 324 and 2132, taken from the Guide to the Various Spellings of Irish Family Names, link on the blog. And now let's take a little bit of look at some history of the name, and we're going to take them out of that 34-book set on Irish families and Irish family history that I put together and published. And if we take a quick look here, we'll just have some scattered notes. The name is generally given to be centered in the province of Munster in Ireland. That's the northernmost province. And it's also said to be found commonly, or most commonly, in Cork and Limerick, as well as in Clare and Kerry in our works. And, of course, Connery can be shortened to Connor or Connor, one N or two N's on occasion, and that's a separate name altogether. Now, if we take a look at that Families of the Clanna Rory book I was just talking about earlier, we find mention of the Nays or Nevilles alongside the O'Connorys, and that's spelled Oconaires, and they're given as chiefs near Tralee. So, hey, isn't that interesting? Tralee. Now, in the Families of County Clare, Ireland, we see Daniel Connery and Owen O'Connery tied to two specific locations in that county in the 17th century. And we also find mention of Mull Connery near Tralee, and that's Tradraighe. And the learned family of O'Mal Connery is also noted with a school of jurisprudence and literature. Oh, so if you've got a learned family, that might link you right there to them. And they're often cited in the annals of Irish history as learned men, so there's no mistake about it. And some confusion can arise when researching the name, as it can be found as Mac Conroy and as Clan Connor or Connery. And sometimes it's used to describe one family, but it's really two. And that Mac Conroy is more often Mac Connery linked, and it's interchanged with King a lot. You're going to see down there in County Kerry, and our Kerry book says that. And in an unexpected entry in the Dictionary of Irish Family Names, the Irish families on the California Trail, we find O'Connery listed as U Connery or Wee Connery, Olums, and Literati at an early age in Desmond. Isn't that something? Well, now, if we take a look at sources and coats of arms, what do we find? Some sources quote the MacConroy arms as being the same as the province of Munster in early times with 3 crowns, but most of these would be for Connery, I think, or King, or maybe not at all. You got to find documentations. The first edition of the Irish Book of Arms, I put it in there, and it had a lion rampant on it with a boar as a crest for Connery. But that was undocumented, and I couldn't really confirm it out of a 19th century. I had a 19th century source, so I took that out of the second edition. And hey, coming up later, one city calls itself the real capital of Ireland, and it's not Dublin. And where did a man find an egg inside of an egg for real? Hey, the Freemaster Index lists Connery just 17 times, which means it's not a real numerous name, but we've got a D. Connery in County Clare, Ireland, and Family History Notes. We've got an O. Connery in the Annals of Ireland by the Four Masters. We've got O. Connerys in Irish families on the California Trail, and in the families of County Limerick, Ireland, and O. Connery in the Milesian families of Ireland, and like we said, in the history of the Clanna Rory families of Ireland, and of course in the Birth Index of Ireland. You can see more searches on our webpage. Oh, well, it's Around the World in Irish Ways, the web pages and videos of the month, if I found them. Number 1, the Connery Family Genealogy Forum with various families and locations noted. You might want to check that out. Link on my blog. Number 2, festivals in County Cork are listed on this page. Got that on the blog. Number 3, the Year of the Rabbit in China. We got a little video of that and a little story later here I'm going to connect you with. We'll tell you why we have that in China, a China video on an Irish podcast. And number 4, an Irish pub in Australia. It's a 1-minute video, and it shows good food, good drink, good music, and it's very interesting. I'll give you another link in a second, but we got a 60-second video of that, and I just put it on Facebook too, and several people automatically said, hey, that looks good. I think I want to go. So it's on our bucket list, and the bucket list is things you want to do before you kick the bucket. So I guess I'll add your name too if you want me to. And remember, we also see our Irish video shorts on our webpage. We've got them sitting right there. And gosh, who else on that Irish pub? Who wrote in there? It was Walt Harper in Savannah, Georgia, old friend there. He had me come down there and talk to a group year or two ago. And then there was Karen, our famous singer who did Red and the Rose on the Irish Music podcast. And then, of course, Roxanne, too. She was there. And she jumped in right away and said her and a friend were talking about going to Australia just the other day. And wouldn't it be a fine thing? So we've got a virtual trip planned, I think, at least a bucket list. Hey, now it's time for the last segment, everybody's favorite. It's Around the World in Irish Ways, the web page and video of the month we've just finished up, and now we're moving on to the curious news and notes from Ireland today. Number 1, County Cork is out to become the champion of Irish festivals and sometimes calls itself the real capital of Ireland. Oh, that should cause some excitement. We got that article out of the Examiner, a link on the blog. Number 2, it's Adrian Sheehan, a Kerry man who finds a rare egg inside of an egg. A 1 in 4 million chance, and that's a sign of good luck in China. Number 3, got a link to that story on the blog. Number 3, women less likely to immigrate, but they remain poorer, but they live longer. So I don't know, you might take that trade, huh? Number 4, link on the blog. Number 4, Galway celebrates the Year of the Rabbit with a 3-day celebration. The Chinese Galway Association put that event together. That world's getting smaller all the time. And hey, you know what? One of my ancestors was a Bridget Rabbit, and they were from up North Clare, southern Galway. So I wonder if I could just celebrate the Year of the Rabbit because part of my family had the rabbit name. Although it's not necessarily linked to the Chinese Year of the Rabbit, but it's Ireland, so I think that'll work. So I'm thinking my family's having a celebration. perhaps we will claim that festival as our own. Number 5, the Irish rush to Australia and jobs, and thousands are settling in Sydney there in Australia. They're finding it real good, and there's a need for some workers, and that's a good thing, so they're filling it up quick. And number 6, the Scots-Irish that built America. Here's it says a TV documentary with Senator Webb, and it explains the story of the Scots-Irish that built America. And it also talked a little bit about how the senator just wanted to punch the president one time when the president asked him a question, and it got a little political there, but he said that was just part of his Scots-Irish roots, I guess. I don't know exactly what that means, do you? Seems pretty curious. Well, I'm telling you what, we've got the number 7 is the Irish Archaeology Service, and their theme is sort of, do you know thy place? So it lets you find out more about your town or townland in Ireland. I've got a link on the blog. That's just a new little wrinkle. It's not really genealogy, but it's once you find where you came from, maybe you want to know a little bit more about the history of the town or the land or the archaeology, huh? Hey, remember, we're the world's leading audio source for Irish genealogy. The Irish Roots Cafe has 7 broadcast series and over 250 episodes altogether. 181 episodes of the Irish Family History broadcast you're listening to right now. So, hey, it's been a lot of fun. Remember, every day's a holiday at the Irish Roots Cafe. Hope you come back now. You hear? That's all for today, folks. Joseph, warm up those pipes. Remember, we have a broadcast series on Irish song and recitation, on local history of the Irish in America, and on 2,000 years of Irish history, as well as on the counties, and something special coming up on Irish language, I hope. We've got all that and more at our head school at irishroots.com. And you know, we've been known to appear, exhibit, teach, and even sing for your special events. Be sure to book in advance if it's important, and write me at my American address at Irish Roots Cafe, Box 7575, Kansas City, Missouri, 64116. Leave a message by phone at 816-256-3360. Reach me on my webpage at irishroots.com. Skype me at the Irish Roots Cafe. Get me on MySpace, Facebook, Twitter, and Irish Central. Members foot the bill so they get first priority, but we're open to all. And by the way, a big thank you to all of our members. And away.